Okay, here's my review of the Resolza by Extrema ratio. Like I mentioned in the first impression video a couple of months ago, this was sent to me for review, and it's available for 191 euros. I'll leave the link to the website down below. And this is a modern version of the traditional Sardinian folding knife. The word Resolza dates back to the 17th century and is related to the Latin word for razor. The blade is made of stone-washed N690 steel, made in Austria. It's said to be a high-end stainless steel. I'm not familiar with it, so I just had to go by the information I found. It's a very hard and wear-resistant steel. It's got a carbon content of 0.95 to 1.07%. It also contains 17% chromium, 1.5% cobalt, 0.4% manganese, 1.5% molybdenum, 0.4% silicon, and 0.1% vanadium. Done with the boring stats. Okay, so some people say it's comparable to VG10, but better. And it's got a flat grind. As you can see, it's got my name on it. They offer a free laser engraving and free diamond sharpener with the order. So let's take a closer look at the edge here. So it's a relatively smooth grind. Like, it's not a full mirror polish. You can see there's still some grind marks left on there, but it's definitely a finer polish than on a lot of production knives. Yeah, that's maybe a little better view. It's got an anodized aluminum handle and a liner lock. Take a closer look here at the lock. It's fully engaged, as you can see. It's pretty well aligned. It says made in Italy here, and here's a nice close look at the stone-washed finish, which is really nice. Personally quite like that. You can see pretty much at first glance that this is high production quality. I mean, it better be at the price, right? So everything is perfectly well fitted. Nice smooth finish, no flaws anywhere. And it's a really sleek, elegant looking knife, particularly with this handle here. And it looks like the overall shape is very true to the originals. The handle is obviously made of different material, but the blade shape seems to be the same as on traditional Resolzas. It's quite a visually appealing design to me. As far as the action is concerned, it's very smooth. It doesn't have a detent, so you can tell it doesn't snap in place here. So it needs a bit of friction to prevent it from opening, of course, but you know, it's the good kind of friction, so to speak. As I said, it feels extremely smooth, and you can actually, the way it comes, you can flick it open. I just tightened the screw here because of the silly gravity knife laws in Canada, but yeah, you can easily do that, especially due to the length of the knife. There is plenty of momentum going on with that. You can even push with the thumb against the blade and open it like this. So even though it does not have a thumb stud, that's actually an option. That's nice. However, personally, I would very much like a flipper, because that would make it easier to open it, and funnily enough, that's fine, according to Canadian law. If it has a flipper and you have to push on it, flick it open that way, that's okay. If you just flick it open without touching anything on the blade, that's not okay. Whatever. I'm not going to go into another rant about that. So a flipper would be nice also because it would provide a guard here. And that this comes around, there's really nothing that prevents you from slipping up there. Now, this is of course the traditional design. They didn't want to change that, so I can't fault this knife for that, because that's just how they are. And you've got plenty of handles, so you can choke all the way down. And if you need to pry or anything, you can do that without risking your fingers. So it's really not a big deal. It's just something that I personally like. You know me and guards, right? I also want to point out that the jimping on the liner here is just right. You know, it gives you a bit of extra traction, but it's not harsh on the thumb. Like, you can scrape over it with your thumb and it's not going to bother you. So that's exactly how I like it. Either no jimping or this kind of unobtrusive jimping. Feels good. And the handle feels great. Of course, being aluminum, it's pretty light. And the surface just has a certain amount of traction, even though it's not textured. So enough to keep it in your hand, but it just feels fairly smooth and comfortable. Now it's a Again, pretty slender handle. So if you have large hands, that might bother you. But otherwise, I think this is really a good design. So I've shown the initial sharpness in the first impression video, and it's still pretty much at that level. Now, I haven't used it a whole lot, so I can't make any statements about the edge retention. I've used it mainly at home to cut open boxes and such. I haven't carried it because, well, for one, it's a little bit awkward in the pocket. It doesn't have a pocket clip, makes the handle feel better, but it would be nice to have that option. Or if it came with a, belt pocket of some sort, that would be nice. And it's kind of long, so that's a bit of a bother. And also, once again, Canada's laws being a little strange, you have to, in order to carry a folding knife in your pocket, the clip needs to show, or some of the knife needs to show. Otherwise, it's considered concealed carry, which is prohibited. You can open carry just about any knife, but it needs to be, at least part of it needs to be visible, and that doesn't really work very well with this. Okay, so let's cut a bit of cardboard. Obviously, no problem. This should be roughly equivalent to a seat belt. Wood is not a problem either, as you can see. Since the tip is pretty fine, I'm also going to do just a little bit of light prying, just to test the material. It's not something that I would recommend with a blade of this shape. Just want to see if it bends or breaks easily. I don't really want to do any more than this, because that's already not the most appropriate use. But yeah, it's fine. So excellent fit and finish, handles nicely, cuts well. Lots of things to like about it, and that's really all I've got. I can't think of any other cons, not even nitpicks. So it's really just the lack of a clip and maybe a flipper or guard. But of course, those are cons of the traditional design. They just stuck to it. This is how they were originally. And as I said, it's a bit long, but of course that also means more blade. It just makes it a little more awkward to carry. So it would probably be ideal to carry it in a belt pocket. Well, I suppose there is one more con, the price. It's not the most affordable thing in the world. But if you ask me, it's very much appropriate for the quality of the materials and fit and finish. But of course, I realize it's easy for me to say since I didn't have to pay for it. So whether or not it's worth it for you, I leave that up to you. I can only say that it's very well made. It's a good design. It works. And yeah, it's true to the originals. So I hope you found the review helpful, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.